A single sound drifts across the ancient plains of the Indus Valley. A low, resonant hum. No one knows who voiced it first or why, but that sound would echo through thousands of years, across empires and ages. It would become the heartbeat of meditation, the chant of sages, the vibration believed to exist before creation itself. Long before the temples, before the sacred texts, before the gods took familiar names, India's earliest people stared at the sky and felt something profound. A sense that the world was not merely matter, it was alive, conscious, divine. The story of Hinduism doesn't begin with a prophet or a founding moment. It begins with whispers, whispers of the eternal, carried by wind, preserved in memory, lived through ritual, and passed down by voices who believed they were speaking the language of the universe itself. To trace the mystical origin of Hinduism is to journey not through a straight line, but a spiral, a cycle of rebirth, myth, philosophy, and revelation. Its beginning lies in the twilight between history and legend, where rivers were goddesses, fire was a messenger, and the cosmos was a sacred story unfolding endlessly. Over 4,000 years ago, the Indus Valley Civilization thrived along the mighty Saraswati and Indus rivers. Their seals bore mysterious symbols, yogic figures seated in meditative postures, animals with sacred significance, and motifs that would later appear in Hindu iconography. Though their script remains undeciphered, their art suggests an early spirituality centered on nature, balance, and cosmic order. When this great civilization declined, it did not vanish. Its rituals, beliefs, and traditions survived, absorbed into the cultures that followed. And somewhere in this merging of worlds, the earliest foundations of Hinduism were laid. Then came the wanderers, Indo-Aryan tribes who traveled into the subcontinent, bringing with them sacred hymns and oral traditions known as the Vedas. These were not written texts, but living knowledge, memorized with breathless precision. It was said that even a single misplaced syllable could alter the spiritual power of a verse. These hymns, whispered around fires under open skies, spoke of vast cosmic forces. Agni, the flame that carries prayers; Indra, the thunder-wielding warrior; Varuna, the guardian of cosmic law; Surya, the sun riding across the heavens. But the gods of the Vedas were not distant deities. They were embodiments of natural forces, gateways to deeper truths. The Vedic sages weren't content with rituals alone. They asked daring questions. What is the origin of the universe? Where does the soul go after death? What is the ultimate reality behind all appearances? These questions became the fuel for one of the most profound philosophical traditions in human history. Hidden deep within the Vedas were the Upanishads, secret teachings shared between a teacher and a chosen student. Unlike the ritualistic hymns, these texts were inward-looking, mystical, revolutionary. They declared that the entire universe was woven from a single infinite essence, Brahman, and that within every living being was a spark of that same infinite reality, Atman. The soul and the universe, one and the same. This idea would become the guiding light of Hindu philosophy. It was a truth so bold that even modern science still grapples with its implications. The sages spoke in riddles and metaphors. One Upanishad describes the eternal self as the sound within silence, the flame within the heart. Another says, "As a man casts off worn-out clothes and puts on new ones, so the soul casts off the body and takes on another." Rebirth, karma, liberation. These concepts emerged not from a single sermon, but from centuries of reflection, meditation, and lived experience. As centuries passed, the philosophical roots of Hinduism intertwined with vibrant mythologies. New gods emerged: Shiva, the destroyer of illusions; Vishnu, the preserver of cosmic order; Devi, the divine mother in all her fierce and gentle forms. These deities were not replacements for older ones. They were evolutions, expressions of the same eternal truths seen from different angles, like light through a crystal. And then came the epics. The Mahabharata, the longest epic poem ever written, tells a story of kings, warriors, love, betrayal, and destiny. But hidden within it is the Bhagavad Gita, a dialogue between the warrior Arjuna and the divine Krishna. On the eve of battle, Arjuna collapses in despair. He does not want to fight. He questions duty, morality, life itself. Krishna's response becomes one of the greatest spiritual teachings in world history. He tells Arjuna, "Act without attachment. Do your duty with a pure heart. Understand that the soul is eternal. See God in all beings." This wasn't just advice for a warrior, it was a map for navigating the human experience. In the Ramayana, Rama becomes the ideal of righteousness, Sita the embodiment of devotion, Hanuman the symbol of courage and service. These stories weren't mere tales, they were mirrors. They taught generations how to live, how to love, how to endure suffering with dignity. Hinduism grew not through conquest or conversion, but through absorption. It welcomed new ideas, celebrated diversity, and expanded like a river fed by countless tributaries. Local gods became regional forms of Shiva or Devi. Tribal traditions merged with Vedic philosophy. Even foreign influences were woven into its tapestry. By the time Hinduism crystallized into a clearly recognizable religion, it was already one of the oldest continuous spiritual traditions in the world. Its strength was never uniformity, but adaptability. It offered rituals for the devotee, philosophy for the thinker, yoga for the seeker, and stories for the dreamer. Perhaps the most fascinating part of Hinduism's origin is that it never claimed a single revelation. Its truth was not dictated. It was discovered, rediscovered, and refined. It grew through questions, not commandments. Mystics wandered forests, searching for the self. Poets sang of divine love. Scholars debated the nature of reality. Yogis developed techniques to master the mind and breath. Each contributed to a tradition too vast for any single definition. At its heart lies a profound idea. The universe is not a random accident. It is a manifestation of consciousness. Life is a sacred journey shaped by choices, and divinity lives within every being waiting to be realized. Even today, Hinduism is not just practiced, it is lived. In the ringing of temple bells, in the lighting of a small oil lamp, in the chanting of ancient mantras, in the quiet meditation of a seeker imagining themselves dissolving into the infinite. Its origins remain partly shrouded in mystery, like a river whose source lies hidden in the mountains. But its echoes are everywhere, in philosophy, science, art, and the spiritual practices of millions. From the Indus Valley's silent seals to the Upanishads' whispered truths, from the cosmic dance of Shiva to the soothing devotion of Krishna, Hinduism is a tapestry woven from myths, revelations, and questions that still stir the human soul. Its story is not merely a record of the past. It is a living journey, a whisper of the eternal, calling each generation to look beyond the visible into the depths of the self. For in those depths, according to the sages, lies the same truth that created the stars.